Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tello Community Television. With me today is Lesa McHugh and Chloe Fox Chetwynd, co-chairs of Reness Furniture Society. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So I guess the first question for those who might not be familiar with your group is how and when and why did Reness Furniture Society start?
Reness Furniture was kind of a brainchild that became a reality in February of 2023. Prior to that, our works overlapped, so I was working with an organization that helped people find or leave situations, and Chloe was a housing support worker that helped clients that I was working with find housing. And Chloe was very good at finding housing, but then people would need furniture. So we started using our personal Facebooks to put a call out for a twin bed, or somebody needed a king size bed with a crib, and our friends would share it. And then in August of 2022, I started working with Chloe, and we were doing pretty good at finding things through our own personal Facebook, but then we had the opportunity with a whole house of beautiful furniture was offered to our clients, but we had no place to put it and no means of getting it to people, so we had to coordinate, and that day took a lot out of us. And once we survived it and got 5 homes furnished out of the one, or 5 families helped with out of the one home, we had a minute to catch our breath and thought, we got to make this more, we have to have a home base. So we started forming a society so that we could have a not-for-profit to have a space to have donations brought to our unit and then stored until we had clients that had the ability to come get it. Yeah, so that took a few months.
Yeah, so we applied to be a non-for-profit organization in February of 2023, and we were approved, and
we have a wonderful board of directors.
So we kind of collaborated who feels passionate about this alongside of Lesa and I, which is so nice to have people who are passionate about it. And we kind of sat down and figured out where are we going to rent, what can we afford rent-wise, because as a non-for-profit you don't make money, and a lot of people are in need right now, and the people that are in need, they struggle to be able to pay for the furniture to furnish a whole entire home, when they're sometimes leaving domestic violent relationships with nothing except for the clothes on their back, with their children, or a house fire, or flooding, stuff like that. So getting back up onto your feet is very difficult for the majority of us in general, but especially low income people.
And students.
And students, for sure, definitely. So just kind of collaborating together to get this off the ground, because it was so needed in our communities. And we saw the need, and we just kind of made it happen together and got a lot of great people on board with us, and it's, yeah.
And the municipalities have also stepped up, and the town of Port Hawkesbury and Inverness County and Richmond County.
Yeah, Richmond County and Inverness, they've both put in money, and so has the town of Port Hawkesbury, which has been very, very helpful, and we're grateful for all that they have done to help us be where we are today.
I imagine a lot of these municipal councils and yourselves and all these other groups must have noticed the obvious need in the community for what you guys are offering.
Absolutely.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, and there are a couple of our board of directors, or the members of the board, also sit on council, so that's helpful. Mm-hmm. So they can hear firsthand. We have a couple of first voices of past clients that benefited from the services, so
they wanted to give back.
Mm-hmm.
So they were able to give back in this way, which is nice to have the first voice, hearing from people who are struggling, and that our society has helped them be the best that they can be and succeed in their life.
Now you mentioned the help and the role of local municipal councils in it, and I know you gave a presentation on May 13th in Arishat at the I think it was the Committee of the Whole session, Richmond Municipal Council, And you talked about your group's efforts to find furnishings for those in need in the area. How is that effort going since you last went to council?
Richmond County has been fantastic. The members of the community have stepped up and offered lots of furniture. The struggle we have is our unit, the storage unit is in Port Hawkesbury, or Port Hastings actually. So getting transportation, getting that furniture physically from Richmond County to a place that we could store it has been a struggle, but some members, I can think of one house that was recently, they messaged on the Facebook page or email and offered some furniture, but they were able to store it. So again, if we could have a unit in Richmond County, that would be ideal, but we'll get there. We're still a fairly young society. Reness is still working its kinks out, but that's obviously a need. If we could find a space in Richmond County to also store, that would be helpful for the clients that are here, the families that are here. And it's not just our clients that we help, it's anybody that needs. Sometimes we get a call that, there was a senior that her bed frame broke. Okay, well, we have lots. Next time I'm coming, I will bring one. But lots of times the furniture doesn't fit in my car.
Yep. And it's like a lot of the times my husband has a truck and she has a trailer on the back of her, like SUV and stuff, but like the price of fuel is very expensive. So, and like we do have to pay rent. So the struggle of like asking somebody who is low income to like pay for something is something that sometimes we don't even feel comfortable doing, but we still have to pay rent. And then like asking somebody else to help or like go to Judic and pick something up is sometimes a struggle if they're not already like going through that destination. So that's kind of a struggle, and like it seems sometimes that like it's both of our vehicles being used a lot, and like if her trailer was in the shop and my husband's truck was in the shop, and sometimes like things just don't line up, and unfortunately there's some furniture that has been in like Inverness or in Glendale or in Louisdale that like hasn't been able to get from Louisdale or those areas to our CCAN where we rent. So unfortunately, like we're not able to, so we just ask them to like put it on the marketplace and see if they could kind of get rid of it instead of going to the dump, because we've saved a lot of stuff from going to the dump, or we'll send out pictures to like people that we know that are in need and say like, if you're interested in this and you can get a truck to go and pick this up, that'd be beneficial. But the struggle that we're really struggling with is the transportation, because the price of fuel is very high and we don't have the funding to say like, oh, Jake, you can pick this up, like here's a $25 gift card. So sometimes we're having to take some money out of
out of our own pockets, which is fine because it's something we are passionate about.
For
but
sure.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know when you were at council, you mentioned that you put out a call for people with trucks or bigger vehicles to kind of help out, and you were just talking about that. So how's that call been met? Have you been able to find people in any number with larger vehicles to kind of help you guys out?
We have a couple of people like that we can reach out to, but they are in Port Hawkesbury, so we only really feel comfortable asking them like if they'd get something in Port Hawkesbury and take it out to us, or something from the CCAN to Port Hawkesbury. But we did, after Lesa met with you guys, afterwards we ended up putting a call out on Facebook on our Renest Furniture Facebook group, just asking for some volunteers that are like, in Port Hood that travel to work at the mill or travel to the hospital in Evanston, or also St. Peter's that travel, that have a truck or have an SUV that could put like a dresser in to take it to one of our clients or even to our CCAN. But nobody reached out to us regarding that.
Except for friends that we continually harass.
Yes, for sure. And we do have some like really great people that do help us, of course, but the need is so much more than what we have the capacity to help with, unfortunately.
So at that committee of the whole session in Richmond, you'd put out a call for donations as well. So it seems you're getting the donations, but just not
the
able to kind of find a transportation for them.
Correct.
So I guess that's a good thing that you're getting those donations in some way, I guess.
Oh, it's
Yes, for
beautiful.
sure.
It's wonderful. Yep.
And what do you typically receive, like maybe on a week or a month, as far as like donations? Like, is it kind of in, sometimes you get a little bit and sometimes you get a lot? Like,
It
would you be able to quantify that in any way at all? Or?
I think we had 5 beds dropped off in the past 2 weeks?
Yeah. It definitely fluctuates. Like
Yeah.
there's sometimes that Lesa and I are able to get in there and there's like, 10 items in there. So we're able to kind of shuffle things around. But then other times you can't even walk into our sea can because it's completely packed full. So this summer I had a couple reach out to me. So I run the Facebook page and the email. We had a couple reach out to us and they mentioned that their parents had passed away and they were emptying the house to have a sale. And they wanted to donate everything from the house, which I was like, great. We only take things that like aren't soiled and actually like do have life left in them, and because we want to give quality stuff to the people that are in need. And just because they're in need doesn't mean that they're in like that desperate of a need that they'll take like a moldy bed or a soiled bed. So we do make sure like we ask people to send us some pictures sometimes if we don't know like the individual and stuff. So they ended up taking such beautiful stuff to us, like chairs and table and chair sets and couches. I think we got 4 couches in that thing, and then like our whole entire back of our sea can was full, like from side to side with just mattresses and box springs. So that time in our sea can, like we could barely even get in there. So that was really great, and they were able to deliver it all. So that worked itself out for sure. But there's other times that like we're putting out an ask, like, hey, we have a single mom that has 3 children. We need 4 beds. Does anyone in the area have beds that they'd like to donate? And usually our community members are really good to reach back out to us, and we just ask people to share our posts. Like even if you can't help, please just like give us a share on Facebook and and follow our Facebook page, and that way like it kind of promotes us a little bit more.
And anytime people see us walking in the grocery store and they have something, they'll say, hey, I've got a great couch. Do you have anybody that needs it? Or stuff like that. So
A lot of it is coordinating. Like we've had people that like we know it's great quality stuff and we don't want to see it to go to the dump, but they are like a senior and they don't have the means to transport it. So we do our best to kind of like figure out. We really do a lot of figuring out like what works and who needs what, and if we don't have the capacity inside of our sea can to store it, then okay, does Jake need this stuff, or does like another individual that we support need this, and then we'll just like send out a text and see if they can kind of coordinate together, which is great too. And Lesa and I like also came into a big thing of we both have a bad back. Like we're not all that great at maneuvering like big heavy couches, and a double mattress is like fair, but when it comes to like heavy dressers and stuff, it was really tough. So we had a member on our board that had recommended us connecting with the SARIC co-op students. So Lance Hawley is the teacher for them at SARIC, and they have been incredible. Like gives me goosebumps that like the students get to show or see like the need in their own communities, and like also seeing like vulnerability and stuff like that, and then also being able to help these people that need it. So they get to like help us move dressers and stuff. We get them to sign confidentiality forms and teach them all about the consent piece of that stuff, and it's learning lessons for them, but it also is
saves our backs.
very helpful for us because they're strong and they're younger and they're more capable of getting into those like smaller corners to move stuff out. Yeah, so it's really great connecting with them. So we did that all last year for last school year, and we are doing that again this year.
It kind of helps, I guess, the students in a way too. Helping people out and seeing that there's a need in their community. So I guess they're helping your group out, but in a way they're getting a real life education.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
and some transferable skills too, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it works both ways. Like kind of, pat them on the back, they pat us on the back type of a deal. It's nice, yeah, for sure. And it also, we sign off on their hours at the end of it, so they get their co-op program from our hours of helping us out, so it's nice.
It looks like you guys are getting some help from the community. You're getting the donations. It just seems it's a matter of like the logistics of things like trucks and things like that you guys are just trying to iron out. And of course, you guys were only formed a couple of years ago, so you're still a very young group, but it seems like you guys have come a long ways in that time, though.
We're not
Yeah.
even officially 2 years old yet, and we've given away over 125 beds. So that means 125 bodies have a space to sleep on, and 125 beds have been diverted from dumpsters. So I think it's a win-win-win for everybody.
And that's just like the beds, like the amount of table and chair sets and the dressers and the couches and all of the like really great furniture is able to be given to somebody. And at the end of the day, Lesa and I feel so good going home after sometimes a really hard day of, you know, feeling kind of sad for somebody, or, you know, and being able to be like, okay, we gave this person a bed to sleep on tonight. And it feels so good knowing that. We also have within Reness, like we don't just deal with furniture, we also have a kitchen project that we are connected with the Girl Guides. Lisa's a Girl Guide leader. I'm saying that right?
You
Right?
are,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So she's a Girl Guide leader. So the Girl Guides have come over and helped us like kind of put boxes together. So if we have a family of 3 moving into an apartment next week, then we can go and coordinate and be like, here you go. Here's a kitchen project with like pots and pans and plates and
Kitchen
forks
linens and-
yeah. And then we also we are connected with the Worth the Wait Consignment in Port Hawkesbury, and they have an account. We have an account set up at the consignment shop, so people can donate their bedding or clothes to Worth the Wait, and then put our name on the bags, and then the money that they sell that clothing for goes into an account at Worth the Wait. And then when we have a client that comes to us and says like, oh, I need winter boots for my son this winter, then Lesa, she does that part of things. She will write up like a little voucher up and give it to the single mom and say like, go and get your son some boots and get a winter jacket, like, or whatever they are in need of. And that way it's not like money out of their own pockets. And we've had a lot of great feedback, and we were able to give a lot of stuff away, which is like vouchers away, which is so nice to know that somebody's keeping warm or somebody has bedclothes on their bed. Like, it's one thing to give them a bed, but it's a whole other thing to like actually have a nice cozy place to call their home, you know. And
The staff at Worth the Wait have been excellent at supporting this project too.
yeah, they're really great.
Now, when we were speaking earlier, you mentioned one need was dressers and beds. And sometimes you get a bunch of beds and then you don't have that need anymore. Are there any things that you don't accept, or you kind of tell people, well, we don't really need that and we kind of need these essentials? Is there, what would those be?
Well, appliances, we don't have the capacity to store them.
Or
that-
lift them.
or lift them, or transport them. However, if somebody reaches out and says we are in need of a washer and dryer, we have a great filing system. That's our memory. So we do our best to remember who it is that needs it, because often somebody will reach out on the Facebook page and
Actually
say,
happened this week.
it happened this week. So I had a client that needed a washer and dryer, single person with 4 children, and Chloe had someone reach out and say, I have a washer and dryer. Do you know anybody that needs it? And she's like, who? And I'm like, oh, I think I'll remember. Give me a
Like,
minute.
I feel like 2 weeks ago you told me that somebody needed a washer and dryer. Who is it? Because like it works, and like let's try to make it happen. So it took like a couple of days. Like, okay, here it
took me
is.
a long drive home to remember who it was. So the first thing this morning I said, I remember who it is. And so that person now has a washer and dryer, because on our way here, it was delivered to them by the person that reached out. So it's perfect. We haven't touched it, and someone's going to be able to wash their clothes tonight.
So my final question would be, what's on the horizon for your group in the short term, long term? What are you guys looking at? What are your plans? What are your needs, your wants, and wishes? Or
Yeah, for sure. So we do currently rent a Seacan off of Norvon Enterprises in Port Hastings. They've been really great to us. Like, they actually like put their rent down to a decent price for us, which we are very grateful for. And they're actually, Derek and Loretta will actually help us out quite frequently with like picking up and dropping off some furniture in the local area, which is we're super grateful for all that help. The amount of rent that we have to pay each month, sometimes we don't necessarily like make that back in furniture. So it would definitely be nice someday if we could get the funding to like have our own space that we didn't necessarily have to rent, or having like enough finances that we didn't have to charge our clients that don't have money to just continue to pay our rent without us having to worry. Like, we have one of the person who does, like our treasurer, she'll text us and be like, hey, like we only have a couple months rent left, and then we're kind of having to figure out like, okay, you know, hopefully we can make this happen. Like, you know, we never want it to come to a point that we can't afford to pay our rent, of course. But like in the longevity of it is just like making sure that we're like financially stable and still able to help others. And then also like maybe a truck of our own, because we can both drive a truck. It's just the matter of like who has a truck that we can borrow, or so it'd be nice someday to maybe like have our own transportation that we can be like, yeah, we'll go to Marguerite today, or yeah, we'll go to St. Peter's and grab that, because there are a lot of items that we do need that are, you know, in the area that are being donated to us, but we just can't get them to our clients on time or efficiently and all that jazz. And just like keeping on applying for like little grants and just trying to, you know, make this last as long as we can, and making sure that, you know, because it is such a needed project, and just, you know, coordinating with the councils and stuff like that to see like, you know, can we get the word out there more? And like, thank you, Jake, for doing this, because I really do think that this will like really allow to show the need that us as a society does need help with, just like with transportation. And I know like so many people do drive a truck from St. Peter's or Louisdale or Ayrshire or Port Hood or Judic to Port Hawkesbury at least once a week to work, or to Kent or to Sobeys to get their groceries, that on their way in they could grab that pull-out couch that we need picked up in Judic, or
On
to
the way
grab
home, bring something.
yeah, or like on the way home being able to be like, here's an address, can you please drop this off to them? So just like kind of coordinating all of that is definitely stuff that we want to like continue to accomplish. And I think that just like getting the word out there, and as volunteers we only have so much time on our hands. Like I have a little girl at home, and Lesa has exchange students, and she has her own family, and we both have our own lives and stuff, and we want to obviously be able to do this because it makes us both feel so good and so empowered to be able to help such vulnerable people. But at the end of the day, it's really, really tough when you don't have so much time, as much time as you want in that run of a day, to be able to be like apply for that grant or two. So those little things that, and yes, of course, our board is so great to like be able to help, and one of our board members actually store all of our kitchen stuff at her house, and just different things like that. Like they all are so great and really great with ideas and stuff like that, but they all work full-time jobs too, so it's really tough and they all have families, and they all have everyone has their stuff, so it's hard to ask even more of them than we already have asked. So it's just nice to like kind of put it out into our community and ask our community members like, what can you guys do to help us? You know, and just keeping that confidentiality, those people safe, and getting consent. Like, are you okay, Jake, if I let this person know that they can drop a bed off to your house, or whatever it may be, you know? And just making sure that everyone's like safe and get what they need, because needs and wants are totally different. And, you know, it's sometimes when we wake up in a nice cozy bed, I'm grateful every day for like what I do have in my life because of the jobs that we do and the volunteer work that we do. And it obviously breaks our hearts that some people are sleeping on the floor. Like we had a 76-year-old woman sleeping on the floor in her apartment on like literally like comforters on the apartment floor. And we're like, we got to get this woman a bed. So within,
I couldn't sleep until I got her a bed.
yeah, I think it was like 24 hours, and we had her a single bed in her place. And then when she got a bigger place, we were able to give her a double bed and take that single bed for a little kid later on. And just those little, you know, wins for us is huge. And we just want to keep this momentum going to make sure that we can help our community members in the best way that we can.
I know when you were at municipal council in Richmond, you spoke about a woman who was sleeping in her car. I know I remember that because it kind of struck me, and that was it was really impactful to hear that. You know, when sometimes you take these things for granted, and then you look at what the situation people are going through, and it's, you know, it can be pretty heavy.
We have a lot of people sleeping in not so great places. I know homelessness is obvious when you're in the big cities, but in the rural areas, it's harder to see until you start seeing it. Then you'll see it.
Yes, for sure. You don't necessarily see the people like that are on the street corners, like sitting out in front of like the BMO or at McDonald's and stuff like that in our communities as much. But as you know, as housing support workers, but also as like just co-chairs of RENEST, like we do get a lot of messages of, you know, I just finally got off the streets after 6 months of being on the streets, and I have an apartment, but I need X, Y, and Z, and we try our best. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't have what they're asking for, so we will try our best to put it like a need ask out on Facebook and stuff, but just like getting our community members to share that, even if you're not able to help, but just like following us on Facebook and sharing our posts and stuff whenever we do make a post, and that way like people like us working together is going to make this last, you know, and we definitely see it's evident that there are homeless people in our counties, and people sometimes want to turn a blind eye to it as well, like not necessarily that they don't, you know, want to see it, but they're just like, okay, I'm not going to see that today, you know, but we see it every day in our jobs, and yes, it is tough and it is draining sometimes, but also when we get somebody housed and we're able to give them all of the furniture that they are in need of in their place, it's such a nice pat on the back, you know.
I appreciate you guys taking time out of your busy schedules to come down here and speak with me, and I hope we're able to raise some awareness of the great work that you guys are doing, and you know, hopefully that results in some help for you guys, much needed help. And again, thank you.
Thank you.